It is midday in Paris. It's 7 p.m. in Seoul. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is World One, live from London. Aggravated pimping, that is the charge facing the former head of the International Monetary Fund. Dominique Strauss-Kahn has been put under formal investigation for involvement in a prostitution ring, and not just as a paying customer. In French law, pimping means actually helping the operation. Strauss-Kahn has been released on bail for now. For more on this prostitution scandal, CNN senior international correspondent Jim Bitterman joins us from Paris with more on that. Jim.
Well, Lisa, in fact, all this took place during the day. Yesterday was a bit of a surprise because Strauss-Kahn...
Barack Obama is working to cool down the controversy around a private conversation he had with his Russian counterpart that was accidentally broadcast to the world. Speaking on the sidelines of a nuclear summit in South Korea, the leaders were having a surprisingly frank exchange about U.S. plans for a controversial missile defense system in Europe. But neither man realized a nearby microphone was picking up that conversation.
This is my last space for you. Yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility.
Yeah, I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir and understand.
Correspondent Brianna Keeler is traveling with the president. She's in Seoul. She joins us now live with that. Brianna, of course, this must be, or will sure to become, fodder for his Republican rivals.
No, it is certainly, and the line that they're saying, Monita, is if
the U.S. president has also met with the Pakistani prime minister in what's said to be the highest level talks between the two countries since U.S. forces killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan last May. So have these uneasy allies been able to mend any fences? CNN's Reza Syed joins us now from Islamabad in Pakistan with more on that, Reza.
Monita, first off, let's put this meeting in perspective. There was no agreements reached. It was a handshake.
Well, world newspapers have been commenting on this nuclear summit in Seoul that we've been talking about since it began. In Britain, the headline in the Daily Telegraph is disarming president. The opinion piece praises Mr. Obama's efforts to cut nuclear weapons, saying future security will depend on nuclear deterrence by the smallest number of warheads in the fewest possible hands. Mr. Obama, at least, understands that. In Russia, the Moscow News is commenting on President Obama's meeting with their president, Dmitry Medvedev. The headline is, "Fiddling while the reset burns." Top of the agenda should have been the world economic crisis, this goes on to say, America's standoff with Iran and ending the civil war in Syria. Yet, somehow, all that came out of their last meeting. Was a feeling of procrastination. And in China, the headline in the Global Times, "Wrong policies leave the world open to nuclear danger." It's an analysis piece that says the U.S. is greatly concerned by nuclear proliferation. Other major powers are willing to work with it on the issue, but the U.S. has never seriously considered other countries' opinions. Except for sanctions and the threats of war, Washington has not made much effort. Kofi Annan is trying to stitch together a diplomatic solution to the upheaval that's tearing Syria apart. The UN special envoy to the country arrived in Beijing a short time ago to rally support for a plan to stem the bloodshed. There are new questions about the circumstances surrounding Trayvon Martin's death. He's the Florida teenager whose shooting death a month ago has sparked anger in the U.S. by those who claim it was racially motivated. Now a newspaper in the U.S. state of Florida reports the man who pulled the trigger, George Zimmerman, claims Martin had punched him. Demonstrators across the U.S. are calling for justice after the unarmed teen was shot and killed by the Neighborhood Watch volunteer a month ago. There's word from Amnesty International that fewer countries are using capital punishment these days, but those that do are conducting executions at what the group calls alarming rates. Amnesty International says only 10% of all nations carried out executions in 2011, nearly 700 of them, but that doesn't include those that go unreported in places such as China and Iran, where the group says such information is suppressed or grossly underestimated. And while capital punishment has been abolished for the most part in Europe and Russia, the U.S. remains the only G8 country still using the death penalty, with 43 people put to death in 2011. Your week, the Arab League holds its summit in Baghdad, the first to be held in Iraq in more than 20 years. It marks a sense of progression and inclusion in the Arab world after years of war, but preparations have been costly and many Iraqis are feeling left out. Arwa Damon brings us more from Baghdad. Arwa.
Hi, Monita. And at this location is where the ministers of finance, trade, and economy are meeting. They arrived.
The conflict inside Syria has sent thousands of refugees spilling into neighboring Turkey. Around 17,000 refugees are in camps on the Turkish side of the border. Now, Turkey is preparing for the possibility of thousands more. CNN's Ivan Watson joins us now from Reyhanli on the Turkish border with Syria. With more on that. Ivan.
Hi, I'm standing right outside a refugee camp here in Reyhanli, and it's just spitting distance, Monita.
Welcome back. Another one bites the dust. Giants of Italian football, Inter Milan, sacked their second manager of the season. Pedro Pinto's here with more on that. We're not even talking about a Queen song in this one.
No, we're not. Monita, good to see you. The revolving door at the San Siro Stadium is still spinning as Claudio Ranieri was fired on Monday night following a poor run of results. Big names doing really well, Monita, out there in Miami, both on the men's and women's side of the tournament. And
also some new names as well, so that's always good to see.
Yeah, Azarenka, who's still a new name for a lot of people, doing incredibly well this year.
We like that. Keeping them, challenged.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Petra. You are watching World One live from London. Welcome back. You are watching World One. Here are some of the stories that we're talking about. The chips are down for students trying to cut class in Brazil. Schools in one area have embedded microchips in school uniforms, allowing them to alert parents when wayward children don't show up for class. 20,000 pupils in the city of Vitória da Conquista have already received the tattle-tailing uniforms. Now, the Miss Universe contest will be missing a miss because she used to be a mister. She used to be a mister. Beauty queen Jenna Talakova, who was hoping to become Miss Canada, has been forced out because she wasn't born female. The busty blonde underwent surgery to become a woman at the age of 19. Her expulsion has sparked outrage on social media, but organizers say competitors must be natural-born females. And there are the three little words that every woman longs to hear. Chocolate isn't fattening. Yeah, and that's the conclusion upshot of the latest research from the U.S. A study of 1,000 people found that people who ate chocolate at least a few times a week tended to weigh less than those who didn't. Researchers said the sweet contains antioxidants that could help the body burn calories more effectively. We like that. Now, the Cuban capital of Havana has been sprucing up ahead of the Pope's visit today. He is expected to deliver mass to a large and adoring crowd. Now, the trip is part of a two-country tour to Latin America where the pontiff has been spreading the message of faith and addressing political issues in the region. There was a carnival-like atmosphere in Santiago on Monday. Well, it's certainly feeling more like summer and not early spring along Western Europe. So how long will this warm weather last? Meteorologist Mari Ramos is at the World Weather Center with that bit of information for us, Mari.
Hey, yeah, when was the last time you went to the beach in, let's say, mid-March in the UK, in England? Not very often. It doesn't happen very often. Yesterday was one of the warmest days of the year so far. I want to show you. Okay, so I guess I don't have time anymore, but I'll be back in the next hour news stream, and we'll talk a little bit more about this ongoing drought and, of course, the nice temperatures. Monita, back to you.
All right. Mari, thank you very much. We appreciate that, Mari Ramos there. You are watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us right here on CNN.